So we've just seen Fairview Park. So would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what your role in the film was?
Cool, so lovely to meet. Thank you for everyone who saw the film today and has stayed for the Q&A. My name is Daljinder Johal. I'm one of the producers of Fairview Park.
So it's quite a heavy film. So it's quite hard to know where to start in terms of the process of filming. But what brought you on board to the project to begin with?
Great. So what I was approached to when the script was kind of in development, it needed a little bit more work done. There was already one producer attached, and basically me and my other producer, Julie, got attached at a later stage. I knew the writer-director duo from their documentary work. They had screened a documentary at a festival I had worked on in a marketing capacity. So when I came across the project, the filmmaking team, there was already that kind of familiarity with their work, and we just got chatting essentially about Fairview Park. And I think what really brought me to the project, in the sense I had stuff to offer as well as an interest in the project, is that understanding of, I suppose, the landscape of LGBTQ plus rights today, and particularly across the UK. So I was involved in an organisation called Asians, which is focusing on visibility, or at least at the time was for visibility of intersection identities, particularly South Asians who are LGBT plus. So they were aware that I had a background of knowledge in understanding how important the story of Fairview Park could be in, I suppose, archiving and being aware and sharing and keeping those memories of queer history alive, so it doesn't get lost and doesn't get forgotten, while also actually being able to bring those producing skills to bring quite a tricky story to life and to people today.
Yeah, because I can imagine tackling something real is terrifying, because you need to do it justice, you need to do it right, you need to give it what it deserves. So were you on set for a lot of it, or were you mostly...
No, definitely on set, very hands-on. So while I had a big hand in the script development process, fundraising for it, my background also has included a lot of crowdfunding, and crowdfunding was involved in this project, not just to raise money, but to actually raise awareness of the project, because I think we found there was a unique amount of financial support that people were willing to give for the project when it came to crowdfunding, because they just believed in the story. We weren't really having to persuade people. People were like, oh, I know this story, of course I'd love to see and support this project. So I don't think I found crowdfunding as maybe much of a slog sometimes filmmakers have, going, give me money for my real project, because there was the kind of deeper meaning, I think, for me. And I know the writer-director Ellie Hodgetts has particularly spoken about how important this project was to her. But as well as that fundraising side, I've had experience raising quite a lot in the past, also from BFI Network. Being on set is something I really love to do, because I produce across a variety of different mediums, including festivals, theatre, so I was very comfortable being on set, but also aware of the kind of great responsibility that came with it, because short film producing is very hard, and there's a lot that is going on. You sometimes, while features are difficult in their own way, it's a very intense period of time having to get to know everyone and kind of know how to support people properly, while also not having that much time with them. So I was very hands-on in set, and making sure, as is seen in the film, some very difficult scenes, people felt supported and cared for throughout that process. And even to go, I think before we shot that kind of unfortunate scene where you see the murder of Declan Flynn, of going, look guys, this is a film, we have raised a lot of money for it, but nothing is actually more important than you guys, so if we need to stop. And I guess people were quite surprised to hear that on set, especially a crew who were very experienced. But we were in this unit basis quite late at night, and I think they were all knackered and just quite glad to hear a little bit of reassurance as well.
Yeah, in a lot of work capacities, it's very easy to feel like the work is more important than your well-being, and at no point in the world should it ever be. No. Was there an effort to try and keep the whole cast and crew queer for the sake of the film, or was there a mix?
It was definitely like one of the things we discussed at great detail every time a decision was made. Like we kept on reviewing the fact that like actually does this feel not only representative of the LGBT plus history that we're discussing here, but also the Irish history of this particular project. That felt really important because at the end of the day, Declan's family are still alive and living in Ireland, and that is really their home. And this is something that I think, as we've particularly gone to Irish film festivals with, some queer Irish people have really noted the lack of teaching of their own history in that way, of queer Irish history in their own schools. So it was raised at every single point, and I think balanced as well with those different identities. But also, actually, one thing we discussed is actually how we're also bringing other different points of view who might not be queer or Irish, but actually will show, I guess, at the end of the day, this is a very universal story of a family who lost a loved one. And I think what I said when I joined the project was like, yes, I have that personal connection, and my family has that personal connection of not ever wanting their child to die in that way, but so does every parent, really, and every family member and every sibling.
Yeah. Have you aimed this film towards queer festivals or have you been submitting to all genre, wider scope?
I think we've definitely done a wider range in the initial kind of a process. I think it's just the nature as short film makers will find. Like you kind of have ideas, but sometimes it's only until you start getting feedback from other people that you really get an idea of who your film is resonating with, who it's clicking with. So while we've played at festivals such as Estetica or This Is England in Rouen in France, so quite a wide range sometimes of more general film festivals, we have definitely had a major focus and also like a very keenness to not get shut down by some queer film festivals. So we've had the pleasure of playing, say, our Iris Prize. I think for the writer, director and the lead actor particularly, that was like a key goal, because at the end of the day it's one of the biggest prizes. We were nominated for Best of British and we were runner-up, and our lead actor actually won an award for Best Actor. And I think he sadly couldn't be there that night, and I do remember the crowd going, why is there two people randomly screaming in the back? And it was me and the writer director going, oh my god, we're just so happy for Dennis, who is our lead actor, because I think it was so important. So we accepted it. They were like, you haven't won this, you know? You haven't won this, and you haven't won the overall thing. But we were like, we don't care, we're just excited to be here.
It's nice to have that excitement to the point you had to get checked there, like, it's not you, right?
Yeah. We're like, no, we're not Dennis, we're just really happy.
Do we have any questions from the audience at this point? So if you'd like to just shout out.
Can you please tell us more about the process of casting? How did you find your actors, and what kind of work went into it, as it's a real story?
Great, thank you. That's a really great question, because casting was very intense on this, just because it was a big family, and one of those things you flag as a short film is like, it's a massive cast and also is based on real people, so it was like quite an endeavour. We did have the support of a casting director. Aisling was really great, but I think actually it was a whole team effort, in the fact that we sat down, looked at all the characters involved, like not only who are their real life counterpoints, but like what roles are their actual characters playing. Because to be clear, this was a narrativized version of Declan's final day. Like we won't know the ins and outs of it. His family don't know exactly all the ins and outs of it. But at the end of the day, we're still telling a story of like the potential of a young life that was basically cut short, and drawing upon, say, the kindness and the kind of human person that people reported Declan to be. So we were also very careful of thinking about who are those, or even what the dynamics of siblings can be. So while we also like looked at kind of who would be quite a good fit, we went through a casting process of even thinking who are those great Irish actors who could bring different parts and different elements of like their acting ability, or like just really bring those characters to life. So we were really like honoured, actually. Even we reached out to James Martin, who was actually in Irish Goodbye. It was so long ago that we made the film, I can't remember. I think the film had been made, I think we had seen it. It hadn't gone and won like a BAFTA and Oscar. everything that film had done, and that was so incredible. But we were aware that he would be a really great fit for the role of Declan's brother, so reached out, and him and his father actually came and flew over from Belfast to be in the film. I spent a lot of time with them, basically looking after them as like kind of that key point person, because it is also quite a close emotional role. And then we also had Mihal Lane, who was in a well-known Irish film, The Guard. But we were like, that's what I mean, we kind of went to have a little look at who are some great actors. And like we went through a big audition process in London of a day of everyone we'd kind of recalled. And I think actually, funnily enough, our lead actor was the one who was like, I'm so sorry. He was like, he couldn't come to the in-person casting, so we did like a few Zooms for people we really loved. And I think he answered we did some general questions at the beginning of just talking about the project before like reading any of the scripts. And I remember it was Thule, one of the producers, and Ellie, who were very much like quite excited just at his responses to the questions. And I was like, oh, I've got a bit of a feeling as well. And I think we kind of knew before the end of like that actual audition, and we all kind of turned to each other at the end and we were like, oh, he's a winner. So
when
we're
you
really
know,
happy.
you know.
Yeah.
No, you did very well with the casting throughout.
Yes, I mean, the family were really happy actually over the process of going to film festivals. Some of the family have come and supported. We all actually went to the memorial actually, so that's what you see at the end of the film. And Dennis, I can't remember why he was there. He was there separately to us. We hadn't actually arranged it explicitly, but he came along with us, and they were like, oh, actually the likeness is a bit uncanny. They were like, it's kind of like the way don't get me wrong, he really acted, and it's like a lot of physical acting, whereas I was like, oh yeah, Dennis stands slightly differently. Yeah. It's very weird sometimes hanging out with him as an actor post having spent so much time with him on set, and he's obviously personifying that role, but like there is a little bit of a likeness. And I think obviously they were like, you're not necessarily going copy and paste, but the kind of vibe, the teasing, the fun, as well as like obviously what happens in the end felt true to our family. I think they were just happy that also we'd kept them very aware of the process, and it wasn't something that was made separately to them, while they didn't kind of have like creative sign off or anything. We were like, look, at the end of the day, this is important that you feel like we're paying attention to how personal this is to you.
Yeah, it's not like you took like part of their life and just go, oh look, this is it for you. It's very important to keep them in the loop. We had another question just here at the front.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastically powerful short film. I was just wondering, how did the reaction in the local area or potentially in Ireland, how was the reaction to the short film?
I think it's been a real mix, just because I think you have the people who are aware of the history and the people who weren't. I do remember one particular filmmaker, Iris Prize, I think, actually asked to have the film said, because they were like, I can't watch the end, because it was something they were aware of the story, they knew the story, they were like, I've gone and done the research. It is baffling to me how much of a story this part of the story was part of LGBT plus history but isn't told, and actually how it emotionally affected them, because they were like, at the end of the day, you won't ever know everyone who's made like the dial move an inch in terms of LGBT plus acceptance in the UK or the wider world, but like they were like, that was a shocking story that everyone did hear a little bit about at the time in the local area. Like even when we went to do Galway Film Festival, we actually met someone who lived down the road from Fairview Park, originally born and raised there, had gone to Galway, and they were like, oh yeah, I vaguely know of the story, and they were like, yeah, it was like, regardless of their thoughts on the LGBT plus rights in Ireland, whether it's progressive enough or not, it's too progressive. No one actually sometimes even had an issue. They were like, at the end of the day, that was a person that was killed in a horrific way. So I think we had very different responses, of a really emotional response and like personally upset, and actually quite an angry response of some people just going, it's bad that actually this story isn't told enough. If they hadn't heard of the history, they were like, actually, I don't know why this isn't being played in more places, and actually I'm quite keen, although I can't really speak about it, I'm quite keen for it to, again, that's why we went for mainstream like film festivals as well, of going, yes, it's important to keep queer history alive and Irish history alive for their communities, but go for a wider mainstream audience. And actually, I think honestly, to summarise, actually the response has been overwhelmingly positive. Actually, most people have loved the film, which we're obviously quite happy as filmmakers, but as people too, to hear.
So my final question would be, what's your end goal of the film? Where would you like it to be? Is it going to be something that's available online for anyone to watch? Is there somewhere you'd like it to live? Where is it going?
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't think we've actually officially announced it, so I can't say.
Okay.
There's going to be some online distribution of the film. So we had the luck, because obviously we screened as part of Best of British Irish Prize, we're the runner-up. A part of the deal with that was it was actually in Channel 4 for about a year, because they've now had the Irish Film Festival again. The current lot have now gone up on the Best of British kind of strand they have, and we've now come down. We have arranged online distribution with something collected to Ireland that I'm sure people can kind of probably figure out a little bit, but I won't officially say.
So where could we find follow-ups when it isn't official?
It will be actually probably the best person. So Emmerich and Ellie Hodgetts are the two directors, and Ellie wrote the script. I think Ellie's very on it in basically posting everything about the film. She usually tags us all in it. She does the admin now because we all have other films and other things we're working on. So Ellie Hodgetts is the writer, and she'll be the best one to follow, and she will share, because I think for her, above all, she's the one who does come to all the film festivals and actually talks to people about this project, and is writing more, I should say, not necessarily on Fairview Park, but like in the sense of raising awareness of LGBT plus history in the UK. Again, I can't remember how much I'm allowed to talk about her projects as well. So she's the person, if you like this kind of work, she's the person to follow.
Okay, I'll wrap before I ask anything where you slip some really important information that you're not allowed to. Thank you very much for coming and for joining our Q&A.
Thank you for having me.